You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbit, and it's the 10-year anniversary of Night Demon's first studio album, Curse of the Damned. And today we're going to revisit what it might be the most iconic track on the album, The Howling Man. Now, we've already done 3 episodes on The Howling Man, 114, 115, and 116. So we've dissected and gotten the full story of that song already. But is there more to talk about? Well, there is. I managed to find some more facts about this song, plus the guys in Night Demon have been performing this song in a very different way on this current tour, which we'll get into right away. I'll break it all down for you. You can hear for yourselves. This is The Howling Man.
The Howling Man. Well, yes, this has definitely become a Night Demon classic. We play this live at most shows. This song, well, first off, I would like to direct everyone to episodes 114 through 116 of the podcast. When was that? October of 22. That we covered this in 3 full episodes. There's a lot to talk about with The Howling Man. And we don't want to do any repeats here on the podcast, any encore episodes, as they would call them. So we're going to touch a bit on the song here some more, but definitely go back and listen to those few episodes. They're really good, and we really get in deep with this song.
Howling Man is always a fan favorite, always a crowd pleaser. I think it's because of the riff. I've heard so many people tell me that this is their favorite song, and that riff is really infectious, the main riff. It stood out to myself as well when I first heard it. It's just one that really sticks in your head. It's really catchy. So yeah, the first time I heard it, I don't remember specifically, but yeah, that would have definitely been one of the standout tracks off the first album for me, and for many others too.
Another really, really important song from this album. This song has probably been played at every single show that I've ever played with the band. So, it's one of those things. Well, first of all, by having that, thunder and lightning intro, it just creates a whole cool mood, and it gives us time to, take a little break in the set. We strategically put that song in a certain spot in the middle of the set to kind of give us a break. So when that thing comes on, the lights go out, and if there is a If we're using scrams live, which are, you know, sort of these backdrop kind of things that are on stands that are in front of the guitar amps, you know, we have a chance to walk back there, you know, wipe off the sweat, have a drink of water, whatever, you know, tune the guitar, you know, yell at the sound guy, any of those kind of things might need to do in the middle of a set. So besides it being a very good song, it is also a very good utility song because of that intro. Besides creating a mood and just being fucking cool and making me think of Black Sabbath, because of course they were the first band that I heard that ever used a sound effect like that. So it's kind of an ode to them in my mind.
From the very beginning, the intro to the Howling Man reminded us of the song Black Sabbath. It wasn't our intention to go in that direction because of Black Sabbath. Obviously, if you've seen the Twilight Zone episode of the same name, Mr. Ellington, the main character in the story, is lost in a storm on a walking trip in Europe. There's rain and thunder and lightning, and that's how the episode begins. And so that was our intention. You know, we had the music for the song before the idea for the intro came about. And, you know, when you think of the similarities, right after that, rain and thunder comes in, and then we have the howl, which ends the beginning of the track and goes right into the music. It does, you know, that first riff is pretty slow and heavy and doomy, much like the song Black Sabbath. So I think that's just a strange coincidence or a synchronicity or something that's kind of meant to be, since we're such huge Sabbath fans. But so lately, what happened with us playing this song, it's funny because now, you know, I'm recording this commentary here. I'm in a hotel room in Cleveland. We're going to play the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tomorrow. And we're kind of getting to the tail end of these Curse of the Damned anniversary shows. As we all know, Ozzy Osbourne has recently passed away. But prior to that, you know, he did his final concert at the show dubbed Back to the Beginning at Aston Villa Stadium in Birmingham, England. And, you know, we were on tour with Queensryche when that show got announced, and we all toyed with the idea like, hey, we should probably be going to this thing, right? And we actually went as far as to reserve hotels before the tickets even went on sale, because that was something that we know from experience is going to probably be the hardest thing to get at an event like that. We decided not to go just because, I mean, we'd been running so hard this year and doing a lot of cool stuff, and just thought, hey, we should probably be home that week to rehearse for this tour, since we haven't played a lot of songs off this record, and the band hasn't really rehearsed in a long time just because we've been on the road for so long. So that's what we decided to do. But we did order the pay-per-view, and we showed it up on the big screen at our headquarters and woke up early in the morning and watched it, and it was a lot of fun. But what we noticed during that entire day of performances from all these bands covering Ozzy and Sabbath songs, and then Ozzy and Black Sabbath themselves performing, is that not a single one of them played the song Black Sabbath. And we were just dumbfounded by that. I mean, really. So I believe it was later that day, since, okay, the show's running 8 hours ahead of us on the West Coast. So that show had ended, you know, in the early evening hours in California, and we did rehearse that night. We rehearsed after the concert, and I think when the Howling Man came up in the set and the intro was going, I think I just said on the mic to the guys, let's just play Black Sabbath for fun when when this rain intro stops, right? And we just did it. And it's kind of crazy because it's a song that we had never rehearsed together, but us being such big fans, we knew it right away. I mean, kind of missed it without a beat. Even the lyrics just came to me. So we thought it was pretty cool. And then we just said, let's go right into the Howling Man after it, right? So like the diehard fans that are coming to these shows, they know that the Howling Man's coming when they hear that. So when they hear Black Sabbath, I don't know, they might think like, oh, that's cool. They're just going into the intro of Black Sabbath. Then we end up playing the entire tune and then go into the Howling Man. So we thought it was something really cool. And so the next show we had was in St. John's, Newfoundland. And that's where we first debuted doing that. And in between that show and the rest of the tour, we had 10 days off. And in those 10 days, Ozzy Osbourne had passed away, which was totally devastating to all of us and everybody in the metal community for sure. But we decided, let's keep it in the set. Let's keep doing this. I think we planned on doing it anyway. The perception now is because of Ozzy's passing, that's the reason why we're playing the song Black Sabbath. And it's actually that's not accurate. We were doing that before he passed away. We were doing it to honor Black Sabbath because no band at that concert had represented that song, the first song, basically the song that created the heavy sound that we all know. I did find out later that Black Sabbath had rehearsed it, and I guess their set was cut short, which is criminal with all those bands. I mean, cut somebody else short, right? However, the result is that it never was performed at that final concert. So we thought, okay, it's our job to do that, at least for the people to come see us, and that's how we're going to honor Black Sabbath. And that's what it ended up being. So, I think I read a stat the other day that like over, I don't even remember the number, but it's an astronomical number of bands that have covered Ozzy or Black Sabbath songs since Ozzy's passing. And this isn't a pissing contest between us and every other band, but I just want to set the record straight that prior to his passing, we were playing that song in the set to honor Black Sabbath. And that's why we continue to do it. And now, obviously, it has a double meaning because Ozzy's gone, But playing the song feels really natural to us, and it's a really awesome thing to do. I mean, I remember being a kid and having that record and having to like close the blinds at night and lock my door to my bedroom. I mean, it terrified me in the best way possible. So all these years later, to be performing it on stage and getting such a good reaction to it and being able to honor our heroes and do it back to back with the Howling Man just really means a lot.
got to run. Find out I'm the chosen one. Oh no! Big black shape with eyes of fire. Telling people their desire. Satan sitting there, he's smiling. Watches those flames get higher and higher. Oh no, 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 please God help me.
People do love the song, and we get a lot of requests for it, even though we pretty much play it every show. People always still want to make sure you're playing the Howling Man, right? So yes, we are.
As far as playing it live, it's been in nearly every show I've played, if not every show. Like, this is one that has to be in the set, like, every show.
Yeah, what makes it a great live staple? I'm not sure. I think the intro, to be honest. The intro really makes it. I mean, the song grooves pretty hard, and the midsection is very dramatic. But the intro, when, especially now with Laura on the lights, when she does like the lightning effect, it's just like, it's pretty awesome. And then the big doomy intro, right?
So it's a song that goes on a journey too. It sort of speeds up, slows, has that slow breakdown, and then sort of speeds back up again. And so I kind of break up the lights in that way as well. For that big breakdown bit in the middle, I need to go really, really slow and moody. And I just backlight the guys, or sometimes even just Jarvis, when he's singing that through history, just to face in the crowd. And that's really, really effective when it's just like a dark stage and just like his silhouette with his bass just there, And as that section ends, as he like screams, "No!" I blast the geysers with like blue smoke, these two big plumes, and that against like the darkened stage looks really, really cool.
So yeah, over the years, again, like I said, we've played this song fucking so many times. So it's kind of morphed and evolved in a few ways. One of the big things that we've done, of course, with the lightning and thunder, in the early days, in our more basic kind of lighting setup, I think we would just keep the stage black, during that intro. But I remember at one point specifically talking about, hey, it would be cool to fucking hit the little bit, if you kind of barely hit the strobe effect, to create like lightning, So that was a thing that came about later in the song. And again, I think it fucking adds a huge, huge effect, and also a lot of smoke. That's, again, like I said, it's that part of the set where it's time to create a really cool mood. And, the song has a different kind of like tempo, mid-tempo kind of vibe than a lot of the other faster songs. So it's a cool way to ease into that, So then we do a thing now, where we hit the intro, all those intro hits, blah, blah, blah. And then before going into the chugging along part, before the verse comes in, we hang on a long note and let it feed back and just stand silent and like a statue and stare down the audience and really drag that out for dramatic effect. I'm not really sure how that came about, but it's funny because it always reminded me of something that I experienced with a band called the Melvins. I saw them one time years ago. I think it was like down in LA somewhere. And they did something like that in the middle of a song where they just hit a note and just froze and stood there for like fucking, I don't know, it felt like 5 minutes. I swear, man, it was just like the most crazy. And eventually, all the music died out or the sound died out and they just still stood there and didn't move and didn't say anything. And people were just yelling at them like, "Come on, fuckers," and all this shit. And, we were laughing. I was just losing it because I know that band does shit like that where it's like comical for them, But on the other hand, we're not doing a comic thing. We're just kind of it's a little game for me to see how long we can stand there and get a reaction, out of the crowd, especially with people that have never seen us before. I think it's kind of a cool thing where, they're like, okay, well, that was a really short intro of a song. Is that it? Like, what are these guys doing? And I think in the beginning, in order to cue us back in, Dusty would count it on the hi-hat. And then we got to a point and said, no, don't even count on the hi-hat. Just yell it out, 1, 2, 3, go. Kind of like a Ramones thing. Those guys always, Marky or whoever was a drummer at the time would just yell the 1, 2, 3, 4, no stick clicks, no hi-hat clicks, kind of took that idea and added it to this. So, yeah, and it's just stuck, and we've been doing it ever since, and the people that know us expect it, and the people that don't probably wonder what's wrong with us and why we're doing it. But, I think it's cool. It adds a cool dramatic effect to a very dramatic song. So, just like the more kind of shit like that we can do. We're not a very theatrical kind of band, so when we do little things like that, it just kind of, it's really special. So that's all I can say about that.
But yeah, the live stage act for this song has changed over the years. I mean, we've done some kind of strobe effects and like smoke, ground fog to kind of start it off. And it's changed a bit from how we approach the song too. There's no count in, and it just comes in after the howl. Usually, this is one of those songs that Armand and I are right up against the drum kit. We're all playing that intro together, making eye contact and close contact. So I've obviously never seen us live, but I would imagine from the audience's point of view, coming out of the darkness and the rain and the thunder and the lightning that has a pretty cool effect,
Sometimes that doesn't really work when we're playing like a daytime festival, outdoor, with the lightning and the sound, I mean, it still creates the mood, but, it just sucks not having to be able to block the stage out and, have our little hidden moments of reflection and all that good stuff to get in the mindset for this one. But it still works out, and usually the fog effect will still work, and we can, fog out the stage a lot, so that helps. So, yeah, that's how that works.
The venue and the atmosphere does affect the performance. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm just going to say this as a blanket statement, not just for this song, but all of our songs. Like, we just don't enjoy playing during the day if it's outdoors. And we've kind of talked about it recently that I think we would rather just not play. It sucks because it stays late in Europe, and you get offered festivals, and you kind of have to play during the day unless you're the headliner. Lately, I've been telling our agents, like, just tell them we'll play after the headliner. We don't care if the majority of the crowd leaves. Like, we can't do our show during the day. It just doesn't make any sense. We're Night Demon. We're not Day Demon. So I've said that before, but it's really true, and it's like, at this point in our career, I just want to be like serious when we go out and do it. And so what, I'd rather just play somewhere that's going to let us play at night, and we can put on a proper representation of what we do.
Do it. All right. There you go.
The performance at Sonic Ballroom, April 23rd, 2014. This was our very first show ever in Europe. Pretty cool place in Cologne, Germany. Small room, but a great PA. And it's funny because I played here with the Heartbeats previously, so it was kind of nice to return to a familiar venue for the first Night Demon show in Europe. And yeah, this version, you know, like before the album came out, right? So the people of Europe that know us, they know the songs from the EP and a couple covers. But it was nice to, again, I felt confident playing this song in front of people at this point, and the lyrics were fleshed out. And yeah, it was an all-around good performance. That was a good way to introduce it to Europe for sure. Yeah, so the interesting thing about this song is, you know, we have recordings of all four drummers that have ever been in the band playing this song, right? So obviously, you know, Pat's style was a lot more loose. Same with John, but John had a lot of more of like percussion, like kind of like stabbing elements, right? Dustin was a lot more smooth but kind of in the pocket, hard hitting. And I think with Brian, it's kind of the same, you know, like I think the tempos are a bit more tame, but he does have a little bit of a push in it. And so I'm kind of happy where it is now. I mean, playing the song for so long now, I think like we have a way of communicating with the drummer, Armand and I, about like what we kind of expect and what we kind of want out of it now. And Brian does a great job of that.
And yeah, so this song's been around for so long that there's literally now Brian is the fourth drummer to play this song, and there's you know, some definite like differences that you can hear. One of the things that, you know, you'll notice of the live version and between these different kind of instrumental demo versions are the tempos. The song has gone through very many different, you know, different tempo changes over the years, you know. If you go back and reference the original version, that was part of the, you know, the sessions that we had done for the EP, if I'm not mistaken, that was recorded back then with Pat Bailey. So yeah, pretty slow and sludgy back then, you know. I don't know if that was purposely done or it was just kind of how he played it and they just went along with it being it such a new song. You know, I'm not sure how that riff was written or where it came about. So, and then you've got a version with Jean Carrar. Yeah, it definitely has a little different feel, but it's still kind of around that same tempo. And then Dusty comes into the fold, and, well, at least on the record, it's a pretty good tempo, but, man, if there's any song that we ever played too fast, that might have been one of them, It definitely takes on its own life live, Good energy there, for sure. Yeah, so again, speeding it up, it just felt right for us.
One thing I tried to emphasize live in that was when we come out of the midsection, I'd like to speed it up to the point where it's like you're just really getting ready to break through the glass roof, and it creates this angst.
And Brian plays it pretty fucking solid, man. The good thing about Brian is that, he's really good with tempos, and, he knows that when it's time to back off, or these days we're a little more conscious about, playing things too fast or whatever. Sometimes, it can add to the live experience, or sometimes it kind of feels like if it's too fast, it's a little bit harder to play, and I think that it gets sloppy,
Just a face in the crowd where there was sin, corruption, and war. He was always there. Now that he's trapped, I'm not letting go. So please, oh please, don't open the door. No, no.
Song is one of those that has a very particular kind of groove that needs to, be linked to a certain type of tempo for it to really fucking feel good and like, get your head bobbing on that one.
I like the 16th notes on the hi-hat in the verses. It's very Phil Rudd-ish. And, a beat like that really needs to groove. It is one of the simplest beats. It's pretty much one of the earliest beats you learn as a drummer. But it's all feel. Technically, it's a sort of easy drum beat, but you really have to feel it. That song really has to groove. And I like playing. I like AC/DC a lot. Phil Rudd is a huge influence on me, and I think for that reason, when I usually add 16th notes on the hi-hat whenever I can. Of course, I didn't write this song, or it was long before I was in the band, but stuff like this I really enjoy playing just in the pocket and grooving. So I like the Howling Man a lot, and it's definitely one of my favorites. Tempo has to be on point though, because if you play it even a little bit too fast, your right hand will feel like it's gonna fall off because it's just nonstop. And I felt that sometimes, but when it's a good speed, it feels great to play. There's a fill I've added this year. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I finally, in recent months, somehow worked it in. Before the very last chorus, I added this big, long roll drum fill that leads into it. I always thought it was kind of empty, that there needed to be a drum fill there. Because it's kind of just droning on for a while, the same riff, and it really just sets it up in the last chorus. Recently at shows, we've been playing it with that drum fill, and I think it sounds pretty cool if you ask me. I like playing the Howling Man, and like I said, it's in every show, so you can count on this one being in the set when you see Night Demon.
That song had all the elements that you would want, and it really just breaks everything down, and there's every part that you could think of. And I know that song took them a while to construct, and I believe it took us quite a while to perfect and really make it what it is today.
The overall legacy of this song, how will it stand up in Night Demon history? Well, I mean, it's already kind of proven the test of time, but it's no secret that I'm obsessed with the Twilight Zone, and my goal is eventually to write a song for every episode. So I've got 155 left to write. At this rate, that's going to take the rest of my life. But I'd like to represent it somehow in an album. I mean, that's a very ambitious goal, but I'd like to revisit the Twilight Zone. It's the greatest show of all time. It has the greatest writers of all time, the best showrunner of all time, and Rod Serling as well, who wrote, I believe, 92 of those 156 episodes. But the ones that he didn't write, he tapped on some of the best, Ray Bradbury, Charles Beaumont, guys like this. But yeah, the Howling Man is here to stay, in the live set. And even still, when we play in front of people that have never heard the band, it's one of those songs that when it comes time in the set for that song, we know that we're going to be able to, it's going to be a pleasing song for the audience. We know that for sure.
So yeah, I mean, this song, the legacy of this one, I mean, it's like, there's definitely, I can name a few people that call this their favorite song, and You know, it's a fucking staple, man. It's like I said again, it's been in every set that I can ever remember. You know, besides the fact that we use it as a little buffer to have a little bit of a break during the set because of the intro. Besides that, it's just a song that's unlike any other in the catalog. So it deserves to be put in every set, I think, just to show the diversity of the band, you know. So it's an important one. Very important, and will go down in history as probably one of the top 3 in the Night Demon catalog.
So there you have it. Another episode on the Howling Man in the 3 years. I can't believe it's been 3 years. In the 3 years since we covered it in episodes 114, 115, and 116, we actually have enough brand new content to get into it for a 4th episode on this song. If you're looking for the usual song breakdown and history, you know, the lyrical breakdown, the story behind the song, you can go back to those 3 original episodes that we did 3 years ago. I didn't want to revisit and kind of dip into any of that again. We had a lot of new stuff to talk about this song. So there you go. I was actually in St. John's, Newfoundland at the show when they played the Black Sabbath cover for the first time, and it was really awesome. That's the current Curse at 10 tour. You can check out nightdemon.net for details on that tour. Also check out the website for info on the subscribers section and how you can get access to that. This week we have the Howling Man, we have the remastered version, we have the remixed version, an instrumental version, the Live Darkness version, multiple full-length demos, and I went through the archives and the live recordings, and I plucked out 15 live versions, starting with the first time they played it live in public, right up to a version from a few weeks ago, so there's tons of content in there for this week's episode. All that for subscribers on nightdemon.net. Until next week, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel
that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time. All the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.